Hey, beautiful souls. I am so excited to introduce our guest today. She is absolutely amazing. You're going to fall in love with her instantaneously. Kassi Underwood. She is amazing. She's been a student and a teacher of the Course in Miracles for over 10 years. She's the author of May Cause Love, an unexpected journey of enlightenment after abortion, and was the inaugural meditation advisor at Harvard's Innovation Labs, where she led live meditations for people what I love about this, I can't wait to dig into this with you, Cassie, by the way, is how she really guided people into releasing the fear of what other people think, right? Like we're all like have that bit of like, oh, there's some self-judgment and what are other people thinking? I'm really excited to dig into that with Cassie today. She taught at Columbia, Soho House, Wonderlust. She's been featured in the New York Times, Women's Health, Yoga Journal, and more. And she holds a master's degree from Columbia and Harvard. So she's not only incredibly grounded, but she's incredibly smart. And she's a proud mother of a 6-year-old son. And not to mention, she's called by the Marianne Williamson a paver of the way for a new generation. So Cassie, I'm so excited that you're here. I can't wait to dig in with you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, let's dig in. So, okay, what I thought was so powerful as I started to really dig into what I think would be so supportive for everyone listening in. So you talk about the power of destroying your reputation, which I think is such a powerful thing to think about. And ultimately what that means is when we stop caring about what other people think. So how does one do that? Because I'm sure everyone who's listening is like, sounds great, but how?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So that's from a Rumi quote, and it's about running toward what scares you. And I don't know about you, but what scares me is what other people think of me.
Totally. Yes.
I want people to like me,
Yeah.
and I have this like deep need, as I think a lot of us do, and is really natural. We should have the need to be relational and to get along with people and to have loving relationships. The issue for me is that I will absolutely like deny my own desires. I will suppress myself. I'll pretend to like things I don't like. I'll wear clothes that I don't want to wear. I can just kind of like shapeshift into what someone else wants me to be. And I can really, maybe it's because of the way I was raised, but I really can figure out what somebody else wants me to be, and I can do it. I can do it, and I'm really good. I'm ambitious, so I can figure it out. Yeah. And when you're good at figuring that out, the problem with that is that you get the hit of approval. Yeah. So I'm not being myself. I'm like doing a really good job of being exactly what somebody else wants me to be. I'm receiving the love and attention, but there's some level at which I'm not feeling it because I'm not being myself.
Yes.
Because I know deep down that what they're really into is this thing I'm pretending to be. And if it's not true, then I'm not going to feel the love. And it doesn't matter whether I'm talking about a job or a partner or friendship or whatever it is, I will not feel it if I'm not being authentic. So the idea is to run toward people rejecting us, essentially. Like, tell the truth, like, be yourself. And my grandmother used to always be like, just be yourself, kid. And I don't
love you, Grams. I love it. Yes.
And I never really knew what she meant. I mean, when she would say that to me, I was like, that sounds really nice, but I was like, who is myself? And for me, myself is like what I love and what it is that I love in the world and what it is that I really believe. And, what makes me feel alive, to wear, to do. And myself, it wasn't like totally off of how I was being. And that can be the tricky part, is that like, it wasn't like I was, pretending to like to wear, all black and, listen to Rage Against the Machine, which I would probably like to do because that sounds kind of fun. But it wasn't like, that wouldn't be like my set point.
Yes.
And so, like my pretending was close enough, but it was still a lie. And so letting go of the fear of what other people think is really just like, do you want a glass of water? And in the past, I'd be like, that's okay. I'm fine. And then it had to be like, yeah, I would love a glass of water, like, like those like little things, like starting with that, or, even telling myself that I want to have a position somewhere that's smaller than what I really want, or I'm okay with this. No, I wouldn't, like I was just in a relationship and it was like what he was saying he wanted. And I was like, I don't think, bro, that's exactly what I want, like that.
Yeah.
I could do it, but I don't
Yeah.
want to be like wild about it,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh, so much of what you're saying just resonates so deeply with my soul. I think even that tiny micro example of like, I'm okay when someone asks, "Do you want a glass of water?" and you're like, "I'm incredibly parched. I would actually love one," but you're like, "Oh, I'm good," like saying it as you're like coughing. But yes, like that really resonates of just like being authentically ourselves. And I think number one, it's about like finding ourselves first. Like I was so good at being a chameleon. Like I could read the energy. I think that's what makes us that's a superpower and what makes us so good at what we do, because we can read people's energy and kind of connect to their emotions and their thoughts. But sometimes it's to our detriment where we're like, well, now I'm becoming what they want me to be. And I've totally lost myself in the process. And I think that was so much of my career is like I checked all the boxes and I got the title and the salary, and I just kept feeling more and more empty. And I was like, there's got to be something else. So I went on this journey kind of similar to what you were saying, where it was like, let me find myself. And so, what was it that really helped you find yourself and start to really honor your truth? Was it meditation? Was there something else that really helped you kind of hone into like, okay, I know what they want from me, but like, how do I really find me and what I actually want and my glass of water? Yeah.
No,
Yes. Right.
yeah. I mean, I think that you make such a good point. Like, I know what they want from me. I was much better at figuring that out than
Yeah.
what do I want coming from this place,
Yeah.
than,
Yeah.
how can I do this thing that you clearly want me to do?
Yeah.
And for me, I think the first part was I got sober.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That'll do it. Same.
So
Yeah.
So when I was 20, I got sober from alcohol. When I was 21, I got sober from some other things that were in the mix.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yep.
keep these for a little bit.
Yeah,
And
I know. And then you're like, all right, maybe they don't work.
yeah, I was like, darn. Like I really need to be able to help other people. And I don't, it's like you want your trainer to like be really strong. And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm your trainer. And they were like,
For sure.
yeah, I like quit all that other stuff.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I got sober, and then I started, then I got depressed, as one does
Yeah.
when there's no alcohol, which was so helpful. And there were no drugs, and it was just like me and me. And I was living in this life that it looked really good on paper. I was living with this guy and we had a dog, and like, he really loved me, and I had a 9-to-5 job. And at the time I thought I was making like so much money. It was not. It was like hardly anything. I make way more in a month now than I did in a year of that job.
Right.
But it felt like I was making so much. I was like, this looks too good on paper. But so much of what I was doing was a lie. I didn't want to work at that job. That it was all like a close, but not quite, like adjacent to what I wanted.
Yeah.
And then the manipulations that I was doing to stay in all these positions in my life were so harmful to my psyche. Like I was having so much anxiety because I felt that I got the job because I was just cute and I had to just keep being like really cute, to stay in the job. And so every day I was like, like feeling like I was playing this role. So I was just like living this lie, and I was having so much anxiety. I was pulling over on the side of the road and like breathing, like putting my head between my legs to breathe. And at one point I fainted from a panic attack and like hit my head, and it had like a big gash in it. And I went to work, and this guy at work said, "How's the other guy?" And I was like, I go, "I am the other guy."
Yeah.
I was like, damn, like something's wrong, like I'm doing this to myself. And I started working with a sponsor actually in my 12-step program, and she had me go on this truth mission. Like I had to go back and tell the truth every place that I had lied. And it was terrifying, but I was so sick of feeling anxious and having full-blown panic attacks every day and feeling like my brain was attacking me that I was like, I don't even care. What do I have to lose for this to go away? And It worked. And it really did totally free me. I had even like lied about things that were like forthcoming. Like
Yeah.
I'd gotten into Columbia
Yeah.
and I fabricated part of my nonfiction writing sample. So
Yeah.
I got there and I told the truth. And I was like, okay, I lied about this is not this is there's fiction in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was willing to get kicked out of Columbia, you know, and they were like, that's okay. Like you can decide what you consider to be nonfiction writing. But yeah, so I was just really
Powerful.
willing.
Wow. Yes. Yeah. That's amazing. Like, what a gift. If we all, like, I want to take that on. Like, and I feel like even having that moment of pause to be like, is this my full truth? I think sometimes we default, like you were saying, to like the truth that we think someone else wants to hear. And then it's like, what a cool exercise to even just like pause and be like, what if I just told like 100% of my truth right now? You know, like,
Yeah.
what if I just really leaned into that? Cool exercise. Anyone who's listening in, I feel like that could be a really powerful exercise to even try for like a day or like, and then if that, you know, if you're starting to feel like a little bit better, like maybe, you know, 2 days, a week, like, and start to really honor your authentic truth. I feel like I would feel so seen in that. Like if I was just like 100% honest about that, because that would have me like really take a minute to be like, am I being 100% truthful? Because I feel like a lot more than I was when I was in my 20s, like, and now, you know, even more so like in my 30s and late 30s. And it's like, wow, I wonder if there's any areas where there's still a gray area. So I'm going to take that on as like a little challenge to see how that works. I love it.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I would say like one more little thing I would say about it is that when I'm living a life that's like almost but not quite honest,
Yeah.
I'm usually attracting people into my life who either want that version of me.
Yes.
If that's what they signed on for. So it's fair that they would expect me to be the person I claim to be, right?
Totally. Yes.
And so not everybody is going to stay in your life if you decide to be honest all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, I think we end up finding out a lot of people are full of shit.
Yeah.
So, you know, like God bless us. We're just trying to make each other. We're all just trying to make each other happy, but like underneath that, also not get rejected and not have to go through the pain of grief and loss and, you know, figuring things out, gray areas and all those, you know, uncomfortable places in life. But, you know, when we tell the truth, like some people are just offering something to be nice and to like play the game, you know? Oh, would you like this? Oh, no. Okay. Like, and then you say, oh, no. And then they're like, are you sure? You're like, oh, no. But if you were to be like, yeah, well, actually, they'd be like,
yes.
Oh, okay. You know?
Yeah.
So not everybody is going to be able to like you'll find out who else is like willing to live that way.
Oh my gosh. That could not be more true. I mean, like I went from sorority girl to shaman. So like imagine some people that were like, I'm sorry. What? Yeah, like what are you doing? You're drumming in your backyard. That's so weird. But what's kind of funny is like I feel like I was living for the most part as much of my authentic truth as I could at that time, where I was like, sorority girl does feel in alignment. And then at some point I just started evolving where it was like I had this big spiritual awakening where I was like, well, I can't unsee that now. And then it just kept being like more and more spiritual awakenings where all of a sudden it was like, whoa. And it led me down this path of now shamanism. And I'm like, man, it's like for the first time I'm seeing me even more. And so I'm honoring myself even more, you know, and so we can only honor ourselves to the extent that we know ourselves. So I think the more that I got to know myself, the more I was able to honor it. So there's definitely something to be said about that. And then I think too, at some point, you're right. Some people are like, well, wait, I was expecting this version of you. So I guess this doesn't work anymore. And then there is a little bit of that grieving process too of having to let go, but also know that it's one of those where it's like, if it's meant to be, it will be. And if not, just bless and release, you know?
Really? Yeah. And people always like, I don't know about you, but in my life, people circle back in and you know, we're all just kind of on our journeys, as they say. But I think that the other thing that comes to mind is that I think why I have always, you know, whenever I'm in a situation where I can be someone different, you know, where it seems someone's, you know, has an expectation, sometimes I like to try it on. And so it's not always just that like, I'm not this person. It's that I have range.
Yes.
And I'm that person, but I'm also this other person, you know?
Yes.
And so, and like, if someone has the expectation that I'm just going to be this one, Well, I'm also like, I've got like 10 personalities. Like,
Yes, we all do. Yeah.
we have archetypes, that live inside of us and need to be expressed and desire to be expressed. So I think like having friendships, partnerships, being in, if you have a lot of archetypes that want to be expressed in you, and I genuinely believe that we all do, that you're in a place in life where they all get to show up. I was even thinking of so I just moved and I was like, how do I want to do my closet? Because I normally do by color.
Yeah.
And right now there's just like a lot of sequence in there.
Yes. I love it. Yeah.
And it was like, because not everything's in there. And I was like, I think I want to make like archetypes, like different archetype sections.
Yeah.
Because there's so many parts of us that want to be expressed. Because sometimes I do want to be the homemaker and I want to be like, I cooked you something, but I don't want to be expected of me every night,
So true. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. And it even has me think about like the relationships that I'm in where I like will sometimes expect like, let's say my partner to be like the archetype of the cheerleader. And he's like, yeah, no, that's not me. Like, I love you. And I get to be like, who I am and not expecting like someone else to try on an archetype just because maybe there's like a void there. Like when I was like shifting from like finding a new friend group because it was like all of a sudden I'm a shaman, there was that weird in between stage where I was like, Brad, you have to be everything. And he's like, I mean, I love you so much and I cannot be everything, And so it's like, but like honoring the different archetypes within us and then honoring that when other people don't fit the ones that we desire for them to be, just letting them be who they genuinely are at their core too. I think there's so much power to that in relationships of like, let's just let everyone be themselves, and where it's meant to align, great. And where it's not, also great. Like I think that we would be so much happier as a collective if we just really honored our truth and everyone else's truth too.
Yeah, totally. And even like going back to the fear of what other people think of us, if someone's judging us, it's, as they say, it's not our business, but also it's not even, A Course in Miracles says that fear is nothing and that judgment is nothing. So and it says that if you're not thinking with love, then you're not thinking at all. So if someone's like judging us for being who we are in the moment, they're just not thinking,
That's so good.
So you can just kind of like let them be that and not even judge them for judging you. Just like let it be.
Yeah. No, I completely
not thinking.
Yeah, right. Yes.
No?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. If someone's brand new to A Course in Miracles, how would you describe it? Like how would you describe it?
Yeah, there's different levels that you can describe it. I'll say it's a psychological mind training. Yeah. And the purpose is to shift you from a thought system based on fear that we learn in the world to a thought system based on love.
And oh my gosh, so good. Yeah.
And for a thought system based on love, you can create all sorts of things. As you accept yourself, you can be more self-expressed, and then you can let other people be more self-expressed. So it really changed my life to do it.
Yeah, you're inspiring me. It's on my bookshelf, and it's one of those where my bookshelf kind of acts as like a God source universe, like talks to me through my bookshelf, and it's like it'll kind of light up when I'm meant to grab that one and like take it off the shelf and learn something from it. So it feels like that one's lighting up right now, like, hey, it's time, like read me. Yes. Yeah, so you're definitely inspiring me to start to open it, because I feel like there's so much of what I hear people say about it that I'm already doing, but I feel like it'd be a deeper integration of it and deeper understanding of it, which would be really, and even validation sometimes. Like we're just doing things and it's like, oh my God, there's text on this, like, wow, I feel validated in it,
Totally. Yeah. Yes. That happened with me too, where I had been meditating for like 10 years when I finally did the course. Mm-hmm. And I'd been hearing other people mention it throughout the years. Yes. Randomly, just like Eckhart Tolle would mention it, and just like little snippets here or there. And when I'd been getting all these like thoughts when I was meditating about like the body not being who we are, and I was like, well, that's weird, It's like,
yeah, hold on.
In grad school, like interesting.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
And I was just like, don't get your sense of safety from your body. That was like one of my downloads. Like it's not real, like that, but also like, enjoy and dance and have sex and things. But and then the course says I'm not a body. It would just like be those kinds of weird little like, oh, okay, that's why.
Yes.
But it changed my life. And I've been on a deep spiritual path with the 12 steps and Buddhism for 10 years.
Yeah.
And then when I did the course, something happened that completely, it felt like a brain transplant.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. I love it. It's coming off the shelf today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get into
Yeah.
it.
So, yeah. So I'm curious. I know we were talking, you had mentioned, at 33, I had this like financial, like rock bottom moment, which I feel like those rock bottom moments are like the Phoenix rising, or they can be like, let's burn it all to the ground. And then we can choose to then take flight, or we can stay in like where we are. And now you teach on the metaphysics of, money and wealth. So take us on that journey of kind of that divine awakening, and now kind of how you move through life with money and the energy of money.
Yeah. So when I was 33, I was pregnant with my son,
Mhm.
and we were maxing out not maxing, we didn't even have credit cards. We didn't even have credit cards. We lived in a basement in like the woods of Massachusetts, and we had a bank card, and we were like overdrafting every single month.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't want to live this way. I grew up with a lot of financial fear and scarcity, and I was just like, I don't want to pass this on, where, I just felt like so constricted and restricted when I was growing up around a lot of things, but around money. And I don't think that was, that was just, I have a deep need for freedom, so I did not want to pass it on. And I had no idea where to start, because my brain kept leading me back to the exact same issues over and over. Like I was trying to use the way that I thought to figure out how to make more money. And the only thing my brain knew how to do was not make enough money.
Totally. Yes.
Repeatedly creating, not having enough money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I bumped into it. I had this like deep desire for a financial transformation. And I find that whenever I like have a really deep desire for something, either it happens immediately, or I get, a book shows up, or I get, somebody invites me somewhere, and it starts to happen. And someone invited me to this kind of like financial seminar. And at the end, and I was like so inspired at the end, I realized, oh my gosh, I have all these blind spots about money. I have things I don't know that I don't know about money. And the guy at the end he said how much it cost. And I was like, oh, that sounds amazing, but I think I need to go make the money first, and then I'll come back and take the course. Mm-hmm. And then he goes, whatever you're if you're wanting to do this, you really want to do this, whatever you're telling yourself about why you can't is the reason why you're stuck.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh shit. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay. Cause I was like, but I had just decided to be responsible about money and to track it. But I was like, no, that's right. That's right. So I like went and spent like my last dime paying for this thing. Mm-hmm. And within, I want to say like a year and a half, I was making $30,000 a month.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
So I was making more than I used to make in a year every month, because I just had that. I decided in that moment, I will not, I'm not going to live this way anymore. I'm not going to do this to my kid. And I'm going to, just, my brain doesn't work around money. It was really just a moment of like, I don't know how to think about this. So I'm just kind of like, whatever somebody else tells me to do, who has more money than I do, I'm going to do that, because I don't know how to think about this. And I was just willing to take that risk. And I did everything I needed to do. It was intense, because I wanted to do it really quickly. And I was really set on $30,000 a month. I knew that's how much I needed to like live the lifestyle I wanted. And created it.
So what are some of those practices? If someone's leaning in and they're listening in and that sounds great, but like, how does that work? Like, what are some of the things that you did to get yourself from, $30,000 a year to then $30,000 a month?
Yeah. Okay. Well, there were like a lot of subtleties to this, but I'd say that one of the big things that I did was like, before I was significantly transformed the amount of money that I was making, what I was trying to do was say affirmations every day as I walked down the street and listen to Abraham Hicks and to think about having more money, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
And that was nice. I'd be like, money comes to me easily and naturally,
Yes. Been there. Yeah.
And then, so there was that,
Yeah.
that didn't get me where I wanted to go.
Yep. Same.
But what really shifted it was understanding that I needed to think like somebody who makes, at that time, who makes $30,000 a month.
Mhm.
And thinking like somebody who makes $30,000 a month, they don't think of $2,000 the same way somebody who makes $2,400 a month and sees money as, this is the only amount that's coming to me. Like like whatever is given to you, that's all you get. That's how I used to think about money. If that's, whatever is given to me, that's all you get. And what really shifted is I create money. I create it from myself, from my being. And I go out and I give in service to other people, and I put a price tag on that.
Yes. Yes.
I put a price tag on it, but I'm also giving in service.
Yes.
And so I do it like I'm not getting paid, but I put an amount of money on it.
Mhm.
And knowing that I can always create more money.
Yes.
And but people, what shifted for me, and what I know is true also from so many of my friends who also make a good amount of money, is that we can weather like shifts in our money a lot more easily because we know that we create it. So there's not like a finite supply. I could decide I want a certain amount of money and go out and get it at any time I want.
Yes.
So there was that. But then the other thing was understanding, like, I feel like I'm being so practical right now, but I really do a lot more metaphysics, but this is what's coming through right now.
Yes.
So the other thing is, like, my goals were fucking absurd when I first started doing this. I'd be like, I want to make $1 million by 2 months,
Yeah. And it's like, okay, how am I wrapping myself around that one? Yeah.
And it was like, nah, you're not going to make $1 million. You wouldn't know what to do if you had $1 million. You would not know what to do with that. And it was interesting. So I was in divinity school when I started this at Harvard, and I was speaking to somebody who worked in like the education field around there, like how do you, putting people into places where they can be of service. And she was like talking to me about what I do. And she was like, you need to, because I have a lot of spiritual tools, right? I have like, she said to me, you are rich in spiritual tools. You're rich in spirituality. Yes. You are like so wealthy in that. You wouldn't go into a community that was totally impoverished and give them $1 million. You would give them $20,000 and see what they did with it. And then take it from there. And so think of like, what are some tiny things that you can give people when they're first starting on this path with you? So it was like 1 minute of meditation, like those little things. And then I realized, so as I give like $20,000, I'm thinking like, I'm giving $20,000. It's easy to receive $20,000 if you're thinking I'm giving it, or I'm giving like more than 20, because this is going to last them for a lifetime. But the other thing was like, the universe is going to treat me in the same way. Like, I'm not going to be given all this money I don't know like how to handle. Mm-hmm. So I started making more realistic goals. It was like starting at, I think it was like, I remember when I like hit $4,000 a month, I remember hitting 5. 5 was really hard. I had to trick my brain by putting a check in that came from like my grandfather, like into my business account.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, exactly. Woo!
Yeah, your brain, because you're just working with your mind and your what you're emanating. And then I moved up to like 10, 15. I had, there's a lot more to the story, but I would move up incrementally, but hold the vision of the 30,000 as I was like getting to that. Yes. And just knowing that every month I'm going to give more and more. I'm going to receive more and more. Doesn't mean I'm giving like more time. It means I just am creating more value in the world.
So good. Oh, it's so good. Yeah. There's like, what I love is there's like tactical things, but then there's also the spiritual things. So there's so many practices that whoever's listening in right now could literally take right now and do themselves. So yeah, that's so beautiful. And to your point, affirmations will only take us so far as what we're embodied, like the energy that we're embodying. Because it's kind of like, that's why, so I facilitate light language. And I believe the reason it works so well for someone who might not know what light language is, it's basically like, I'm channeling a different language. So if someone says to you in English, like, you're so worthy, you've got like 50 stories that are like, no, I'm not worthy. Remember that one time? Like, remember when dad or mom but if someone says to you in French, you're so worthy, you're letting it pass through you. You're letting the energy move through you. You have no idea. And so you're just kind of like, if your soul's recognizing it as mine, you'll receive it. So it's kind of like that too, where it's like, you have to give yourself kind of like trick yourself into like playing with your ego, but also noticing that like, if you're saying something and within you is saying like, that's not true, it's not working. So like, instead of
Yes.
spending all of that time saying and writing affirmations that you're like, it's not resonating, you have to go deeper, or you have to try something new, or you have to trick yourself into shifting your like energetic being around it more so than even just sometimes the mind is like, get your body on board with it, like neutralize
Yes.
that first. Yeah. Like, I think that's so powerful too. I remember seeing one of your posts that you were talking about, like, if you're going to get on a sales call, like have your body be neutral about whether or not they're going to lean in, like feel neutrality in your nervous system. Like, because God source universe is controlling your income, not the person who's sitting right in front of you. So how important is that? Like getting your nervous system, your body on board with pricing, with expanding in your wealth. Would you expand on that a little bit too?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I love that you say I am worthy in French, and it can like land with somebody a little bit more.
Yeah, so I'll do it with light language, so it's something a little bit different. So it's like a different language that's not like something that's really like like it's not like, so it'll sound like French or it'll sound like Spanish, but ultimately it's a language that someone won't understand, so it goes directly to the heart and directly
That's
to the
so
soul.
cool.
It's
I
amazing.
love that.
I
love
love this
that,
modality.
yeah, that bypasses the mind. Like
Oh, it's the
we
best.
argue for our own limitations all the time.
Yes.
You know? And it's like, just chill the fuck out. Like,
exactly. And
yeah.
this helps the mind chill out, because it's like, it has nothing to attach meaning to, because it's like, I don't know what you're saying, but I'll just receive. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Because there is something that we have to give up when we are going to accept like a new level or a new amount of abundance into our lives. Like I remember specifically thinking, oh, I guess like if I make more money, I'm gonna have to like pay for my own plane tickets home. And like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, like my mom was, or like, I'm gonna have to, like, I can't like ride on, I can't like have people feel sorry for me anymore.
Right.
Financially.
Yes.
And that was a toughie for me, because I was like, oh, but like,
yeah, but wait, I kind of like that. yeah.
So then there was that kind of, especially I had to learn how to receive like in relationships and stuff like that, because I was used to just being like, no, it's okay. So, and so you can still receive even if you're making money, So little side note, but so how do you get your body on board with neutrality? Okay. So when I was at Harvard, or even backtracking from there, I spent like a lot of years, I guess it was like, I don't know, 12 or 13 years, just diving into so many different healing modalities, but within certain, like in Buddhism, in the 12 steps, and a couple of other things. And I had kind of like gotten to this place where I'd figured out how to work with my energy. I didn't have language for that then. I didn't even think that this was something that this was a job. I didn't think this was right. This was something I did when I was alone,
Yes, totally.
Like,
yes.
It was like my secret, secret thing I was doing. And then like, oh my God, magic happened. I don't know how it happened. Oh, no, I'm doing this thing behind the scenes. And so I put it all together into something called the practice. And I tested it at Harvard. So when I was a meditation advisor, I would do these events, and I would, people would do my practice for fear called Expand Beyond Fear. And then I have one for beliefs called Deprogram Yourself. And I have one for any form of like relationship friction as well, called Free the Past. And of course, A Miracle says the past does not exist. So, it cannot touch us, but except inside of our minds. And I'm somebody who I cannot just like, I can't just read something and like feel an energetic shift, like what you're saying. Like, I really need to write stuff down. For me, writing it moves energy for me. And I can tell myself the truth when I'm writing. in a way that I will not, if I'm thinking or talking, I can bullshit myself. Like,
Totally.
so if I'm writing, I'll be like if I'm having to answer the question, like, are you lying about something? Are you being dishonest? Or are you being entirely honest? And I'm talking, I'll be like, yeah, I can rationalize it. If I'm writing, I'll be like, oh, like there's that quietness that I have to answer.
Yes.
And so what I do to get neutral, so if I'm not neutral, it's because I have a fear or a desire. And the desire, I think desire is good, actually. So I'll say a fear or like, no, I think it's a fear. We're just going to say a fear. We don't have, desire is good. It does. I love desire. I'm obsessed with it. I get into desire every day. I just don't attach it to people. So as we're saying, like money doesn't come through people. So if I'm on a call with somebody, it doesn't matter whether they say yes or no. I can still have the desire to work with someone or the desire to bring in a certain amount of money. And I can like want it so badly. And it doesn't matter if it comes from that person or from someone else or from some other, form. So I neutralize the fear by doing the exercise. I answer the questions about like, what's the fear? How am I being dishonest? And I go down the line about basically all the different ways that my fear could show up. And then imagining a world where, well, what if it all works out? And like, what if this is amazing? And I get to feel that feeling. And as I can kind of go through in a meditation, which is the next stage of it, what it would be like to go through the worst. And I'm okay. And I'm like, okay, I can actually handle this. Like the worst case scenario, I get on a call with someone and they don't want to.
Right. Like, you're like, okay,
still here. I got to like hang out with a cool person for like, 30 minutes or whatever. And then, maybe I'll know them in some other way. So, and then I end up doing like, well, what is the, feeling into like the best case scenario. And then by the end of that, I don't really care because I remember, oh, wait, this isn't up to me. It's up to the universe. And if I'm doing something I don't want to do, so back to like the earlier conversation on honesty, like if I'm holding consultations I don't want to hold or charging a rate and I don't feel like it's worth my time, well, maybe like raise my rate or don't hold them at that time or like change what I want to change, but don't put it on somebody else. So now that I'm meeting with you at this time, like I hope that they need to do it. I don't want to do it,
Right.
So honest, what more do I want?
Yes. That's so true. Just connecting to the energy of your business. If something's feeling heavy, if something's feeling misaligned, like that's big. I had something in my own business that I was like, it's been feeling heavy for a while. And I just kept channeling and I said, okay, God, source, universe, if I'm meant to let this go, make it easy, make it obvious. Like I just asked for the signs and I just kept getting sign after sign after sign. And it was like, okay, it's time for me to close this one chapter in my business so that I can open up to receive something totally different. And I'm telling you, the second I made that decision to actually close the doors on one part of my business, it was like I felt so much peace and lightness in my body. And it's like all these new ideas are flowing in. And I'm like, what a disservice to humanity would that have been if I just stuck with the thing and I wasn't giving the best of me in that space versus like, oh my God, I've got all the vitality. Like this is what God source wants to move through me. Like what a gift to humanity now that I'm letting it actually flow versus blocking it, controlling it, saying I know better. And so that was like a big breakthrough for me too, is like just honoring the energy, really connecting to if something feels heavy, there's a reason, unpack it, journal, understand it. And then, ask for signs. That's another big one. Because sometimes I think just having the validation starts to make it like, all right, I'm not just making this up. Like there's signs that are coming in hot. Like it's time for me to honor it and see how your body feels afterwards. Yeah.
So true. Yeah. Heavy is like the enemy of my business.
Yes, I know, right?
I'm just like, no, either I need to find a way to fall in love with it.
Yes.
Or hire someone else to do it, or just make it not a should in my business. Like it's not a should. I need to find another way to do it, to do whatever result that was going to produce.
So true. Oh my gosh. I talk about that all the time. I'm like clients that are feeling like really heavy and stuff. I have them like look at their daily tasks, like rate them from 1 to 10, 1 being I want to do the center splits on nails. Like it's not for me. Like 10 being like I'm in total flow state, And it's like anything that's like a 5 or below, like either do one of 3 things. 1, look at the task and maybe throw it away. Sometimes we have tasks that we're like, this isn't even real, but someone told me I should do it, but it's
Yeah.
not even needed.
Oh my
Throw it
God.
away, right? Like,
Especially in business. I
yes.
find that it's like, it reminds me of having a baby. When
Mhm.
I had my son,
Yeah,
people were like, it was like you were supposed to get every contraption. I was like,
totally.
my ADD brain will be so overwhelmed with that many things in the house.
Yes.
I'm gonna get like a stroller, a
Yes.
car seat, and like a blanket. And
Yes.
that's it. And I
Totally.
didn't need any of that other stuff. And that's what I
Yeah.
found with the business too, is so
Mhm.
much stuff that I see people investing in. I'm like, that is not necessary. Just work with
Yes.
your energy. You already have it's not like cut
Yes.
all
Yes. Like,
that.
you don't need all the things. Yes. It's
Yeah.
like simplify, because then it's like
Yeah.
there's so much that we just don't do anything, right?
Yeah, and it feels if that feels like heavy. I think
Yes.
there's a lot of like old, I love masculine energy. I love masculine energy, but in my business,
Yeah.
that needs to just come in the form of structure, not
Yeah.
like, extra businessy things.
Totally. I love it. Yeah. Create the masculine structure, but don't like take inspired action, not just
Yeah.
action, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I do. I either throw it away or I delegate it, right? If I can delegate it, or like you were mentioning, if I have to do it and I can't delegate it, change the energy in it. Like certain things in my business where I was like, all right, I've got to, I've got to do taxes. I got to track my numbers. Like those things originally started to feel really heavy. So I was like, okay, I'm not delegating it yet, but I will. And I'm not going to throw it away because I get to actually definitely follow through in taxes. Right. So it was like, take myself to a coffee shop, listen to music, give myself a couple hours to just like knock it out really fast. And it was like, wow, I really put that on a pedestal. That was so easy. Like that was so fast. And it was like, wow, okay. So like I always encourage people to do one of three things: throw it away, delegate it, or change the energy in it, and really pay attention to your body and the heaviness or the lightness and follow what feels light. Start to unpack what feels heavy.
Yeah, totally. And I think it is important to do what business requires
Yes.
also.
Yeah.
I run a couple times a course called Crazy Easy Business.
Mhm.
And it's crazy. I'm like, it's crazy easy business, but you do have to do it.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. There are things that you must follow through with.
yes,
Yeah.
we do have to be of service in the world.
Yes.
And, like
Right.
do all the things.
Mhm.
We just have to find a way to make it fun and light. I can't I do not fun. Like it does not appeal to me. I need to feel excited and like just I need to enjoy life. So
Yeah.
like ranking something out and I'm gonna feel terrible is not an option for me.
Right.
But we do have to do it. So like finding a way to do it still.
Yes. Yes.
Like, no, guys, like we still have to do it. We
get to show up for humanity. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's amazing to go to the nail salon and do all these things that we said we wanted to do when we have more hours, but also like that service and sense of accomplishment is really powerful too.
I totally agree. Well, Cassie, I feel like I could talk to you for like 12 more hours. And so maybe we'll do it offline. But I'm curious. So you have a free gift, like a free meditation that you want to gift to anyone that's listening in, or free morning practice. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us more. Yeah. So we're going to give them a free morning practice. It'll be in the show notes. Tell us about that.
Yes. And also, so you all are the first people I've told about this, but yeah. So I have a morning practice that is available on my website. It's kassiunderwood.com/morning practice.
Mhm.
And I'm going to be updating it with my new morning practice that you're going to love even more. And I've been doing this for a while and it's like super fun. So even if you opt in now, you're going to get the original, which will give you lots of peace of mind and confidence throughout the day. But the new one is it'll be put into that same place. So you'll find it there whenever you refresh, and it's even more fun.
Ooh, oh my gosh, I love it. So I'll be getting that for sure. And then where can people find you? So if I know that everyone listening in is like, I need more and more Cassie. So what's the best places for people to find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Kassi Underwood, and you can go to my website, kassiunderwood.com. And, I'm happy to do a consultation if you'd like to work together or just talk about working together. And be in touch. Send me a DM.
I love it. And then it's Cassie with a K for anyone who's listening in. So
Nope.
Cassie, thank you so much. This was amazing. I absolutely love this. Like, thank you truly for all of your wisdom, all of your humor. I think that's something that like, as we're healing, as we're coaching, like there gets to be some levity, there gets to be some fun. Like, so I think above all else, like just thank you for bringing that into the space and into everything that you do. It is felt from even your content. So I'm so grateful for you spending your beautiful energy in the space.
Thank you. Back at you. And I'm so grateful to be here with you. And I love your work. I love your podcast. And I can't wait to be friends off of here.
I love it. Oh yeah, you got it. So for everyone who's tuning in, seriously, thank you so much for spending your beautiful energy and your time with us. We are so grateful. So feel free to take a screenshot, tag us both in that. We love knowing what resonates with you because we create content for you. So feel free to tag us in that. And until next time.